with all the most valuable core resources? Very well. Jiangli decided not to be overly modest, sweeping all the remaining items into her possession. Then I shall graciously accept, she declared. However, as she held up the multifunctional tactical vest blueprint, she gave it a gentle shake. This blueprint is not a one-time use. Once I return and complete it, I shall gift each of you a piece, without any handling fees. Additionally, there are 6 universal material packs. Let us each take 2, as they will undoubtedly prove useful. It is settled. Pineapple Beer nodded, a rare gesture of agreement. Thank you, esteemed one, exclaimed the king of egg tarts, nearly leaping with joy. After distributing the treasures from the boss, the group turned their attention to the bounty left behind by the bald man. It must be said, while their character may be lacking, their wealth is quite substantial. Besides a considerable amount of basic resources such as wood and stone, Jiangli unexpectedly uncovered a crumpled piece of parchment and several exceedingly rare, mithril, or, from the bald man's large backpack. Item, tattered dungeon map, partial areas of layers 1 and 2. Description, though incomplete, it marks the locations of certain hidden rooms and traps. What a treasure! Jiang Li's eyes sparkled. With this, their forthcoming explorations would be significantly more efficient, allowing them to bypass perilous regions. Give me this map, Jiang Li declared. You may choose the other materials. Pineapple Beer and the king of egg tarts maintained their nonchalant demeanor, indicating their indifference to her taking everything. In the end, Jiang Li not only acquired the map and mithril, but also a garden blueprint from the bald man's backpack. In her heart, she silently resolved to offer the 2 of them some reward upon returning to the snow plains. Once the spoils were divided, Pineapple Beer found a relatively clean corner, leaned against the wall, and closed her eyes to recuperate. Observing her calm demeanor, Jiang Li felt a twinge of confusion. Aren't we leaving? She pointed out their surroundings. Recalling the earlier commotion, with the boss dead, new monsters should spawn, or perhaps other players would arrive in response to the noise. According to logic, once a boss room is cleared, lingering too long invites an onslaught of newly spawned minions. Pineapple Beer opened her eyes, casting a tranquil glance at her. No, it won't happen. Elite bosses in such dungeons are unique. Once defeated, they do not respawn. This room is currently the safest place on the entire second layer. She glanced at the system timer, stating, the room will collapse an hour after the boss's demise, randomly transporting us to other areas on the second layer. Until then, this is our absolute safe haven. Let us utilize this hour to restore our stamina. With that, she closed her eyes once more, lapsing into silence. Jiang Li and the king of egg tarts exchanged glances. How does she know all this? The king of egg tarts murmured softly. Jiang Li furrowed her brow in agreement. Indeed, Pineapple Beer seemed overly familiar with the mechanics of this dungeon, as if she had traversed it before. But how could that be? This was the first time this dungeon had been opened across the entire server. Jiang Li regarded the figure shrouded in the black cloak, her curiosity intensifying. However, with the prophet's assurance, Jiang Li relaxed. The previous battle had indeed been taxing, especially after consuming those numerous cakes. If she did not take a moment to digest, she might truly feel unwell. She found a spot to sit down, took a sip from a bottle of water, and began to study the freshly acquired map of the underground city. An hour's respite was just enough to strategize their forthcoming actions. Chapter 31, The Treasure King. The 3 of them gathered together, cherishing this rare moment of tranquility. Perhaps having just emerged from a life-and-death battle, the barriers that once existed between them had considerably diminished. If only I hadn't traveled through dimensions. The king of egg tarts hugged her knees, gazing at the luminous fluorite above, and with a hint of melancholy. She spoke. I had it all planned out. Once I wrapped up that major engagement banquet order this week, I was going to adopt a stray dog. I had my eye on a little corgi that had lost its tail. So adorable. I even bought a doghouse, which is now just sitting in that corner of the store, gathering dust. She rambled on about her life back on Blue Star. Though her days were filled with early mornings kneading dough, catering to finicky customers, and dealing with a boss who always had different demands, she realized that compared to her current life, her past seemed remarkably beautiful. Let me tell you. Once I baked some small bread, and there was a note saying to add extra chili and skip the cilantro. I called to confirm if the note was correct, and the customer insisted it was. In the end, I might have created the world's first spicy cake. How did it taste? Jiang Li listened quietly, her gaze softening a bit. The king of egg tarts adjusted her chin, recalling the experience. How to put it? It wasn't exactly inedible, but the flavor was rather peculiar. Strangely enough, the customer never left me a bad review. Is it possible she was just an ordinary person who felt embarrassed to admit her mistake? Jiang Li chuckled. Hey, that theory isn't half bad. The king of egg tarts responded, suddenly enlightened. But if I were to make this spicy bread here, would it yield some peculiar buffs? That is something worth investigating. You're so generous. I'll reward you by ensuring you're my exclusive supplier in the future. Jiang Li replied. One must admit that the king of egg tarts had a significant advantage. Typically, system food in dungeons could only restore half or 1 point of health, with the sole method of recovery being to visit the resting area at the center of the underground city. Hehe. If I manage to create a new flavor, you'll be the first to sample it. The king of egg tarts exclaimed joyfully. By the way, what did you do back on Blue Star? Jiang Li took a sip of water, a self-deprecating smile gracing her face. Before I crossed over, I owned a hardware store. A flicker of coldness crossed Jiang Li's eyes as she recalled the relatives who had repeatedly made her life difficult over compensation, driving her to the brink. As they conversed, their gazes inadvertently settled on the ever-silent Pineapple Beer. Sister Pineapple Beer, what about you? The king of egg tarts inquired with curiosity. What did you do before? With your skills, you must have some mysterious background, right? Pineapple Beer, leaning against the wall with her eyes closed, slightly fluttered her long eyelashes at the sound of their voices. She opened her eyes, her gaze devoid of emotion. There is nothing much to say. The past is the past, she replied coolly. Jiang Li and the King of Egg Tarts exchanged a glance, understanding without further inquiry. After a brief pause, Pineapple Beer suddenly stood up, adjusting her gear. Time was of the essence. She glanced at her wrist. In 5 minutes, this room would collapse and reset. We must leave, she declared. Jiang Li also rose, brushing the dust from her trousers. Let us go. The trio exited the stone chamber, returning to the dimly lit and profound corridor. As they stepped outside, the previously united trio halted at the fork in the path. Pineapple Beer, without a glance at the map Jiang Li held, turned resolutely to the left passage. Jiang Li was momentarily taken aback. She glanced down at her tattered underground city map. That direction did not lead to the safety hall. According to the markings, it led to another area on the second floor, indicating the presence of another boss room. Wait, Jiang Li called out to her. Aren't we heading to the safety hall on the second floor? That direction only leads to a boss room. I am aware, Pineapple Beer replied without turning back. Her steps unwavering. Then why go there? Jiang Li questioned incredulously. Our health isn't fully restored, and we've already gained plenty. Is it wise to take such a risk? The King of Egg Tarts, equally anxious, rummaged through her backpack. Indeed, Pineapple Beer, my stock of desserts is dwindling. I only have 7 pieces of that healing cream cake left. Pineapple Beer paused, glancing back at the two. Thank you, she said softly, but I must go. I know my limits. With that, she offered no further explanation, her form flickering like a black specter as she vanished into the dark passage, leaving behind a faint echo in the air. Perhaps we shall meet again. Jiang Li watched the disappearing figure, her brow furrowed. What secrets did this person hold? With a sigh, she withdrew her gaze. This was her own decision. Since she could not dissuade her, all that remained was to wish her good fortune. She turned, comparing the map, and looked toward the safer right passage. We should proceed as well. Let us not waste time. Our goal is to survive, and perhaps earn some rewards. Such perilous endeavors are better left to the top players. In the hours that followed, Jiang Li and the King of Egg Tarts embarked on their scavenging journey. Without Pineapple Beer's formidable damage output, and with the King of Egg Tart supplies dwindling, the duo advanced gradually but steadily. Defeated Corrupted Zombie, experience gained, 6. Defeated Phantom Mage, experience gained, 8. Though the experience was shared, it was still considerable. Jiang Li's experience bar was visibly approaching the next level, while the King of Egg Tarts had successfully reached level 3. Look over there, the King of Egg Tarts exclaimed, pointing excitedly at an inconspicuous corner. Isn't that a chest? Jiang Li followed her gaze. Behind a pile of rubble, a glimmer of bronze was faintly visible. Indeed, it appears to be. The two rushed over to pry open the stones. Indeed, a bronze chest lay quietly within. Let me try my luck, exclaimed the King of Egg Tarts, rubbing his hands together with enthusiasm as he lifted the lid of the chest. Acquired, Hemostatic Herb, X10. Acquired, Iron Sword, White Quality, X1, Strength 1. Acquired, Chocolate Flour, Special Ingredient, X2 bags. Acquired, Energy Core X2. Acquired, Steel X10. Although the loot was not exceptional, it was quite fortunate for a chest found by chance. However, this was merely the beginning. In less than 20 minutes, hey, over here, there's another hole. It seems something is inside. The King of Egg Tarts discovered a second bronze chest hidden behind a wall obscured by vines. Look, there's a treasure chest here. Jiang Li recalled her arduous journey of battling monsters, scouring every nook and cranny, yet finding nothing, and then glanced at the King of Egg Tarts, who was grinning foolishly and could practically trip over treasure chests. A sense of sorrow, known as the plight of the unlucky, washed over her. Is this the realm of the fortunate? Is this what they call fools are blessed? Egg Tart. Jiang Li suddenly regarded her with a serious expression. Huh, what's wrong, boss? Are there monsters? The King of Egg Tarts nervously raised her frying pan. No. Jiang Li patted her shoulder and said earnestly, from now on, you shall handle all the rough work of opening chests. You are simply too clumsy. What? I'm not clumsy. The King of Egg Tarts replied, confused. Although she did not fully comprehend the remark, she beamed with joy at the praise from her superior. All right, leave it to me. Just as the two were battling monsters and opening chests in a relatively relaxed atmosphere, a strange noise suddenly echoed ahead. It sounded as if many were arguing. Jiang Li immediately gestured for silence and pulled the King of Egg Tarts into the nearby shadows. The survivors on the second level were already scarce, and those gathered to quarrel were surely not of good nature. Let go of that chest. We saw it first. Saw it first? What does that matter? The one with the bigger fist gets to decide. Get lost. Your side is too domineering. We risked our lives to lure away the monsters to discover this. From around the corner, the shouting grew louder, accompanied by the clanging of weapons. Jiang Li and the King of Egg Tarts, hidden in the shadows, peeked around the corner to observe. They beheld a somewhat spacious stone hall where two factions were locked in a tense standoff. One side consisted of a group of 5 or 6 makeshift survivors clad in mismatched gear, all injured, their expressions a mix of indignation and fear. Behind them shimmered a chest radiating a faint silver light. A silver chest. Jiang Li's pupils narrowed in shock. It was important to note that silver chests were quite rare rewards for them at this stage. Defeating an elite boss would yield only 2 silver chests. On the opposing side stood a group of 5 players, all adorned in matching red shoulder armor. At the forefront stood a man with a buzz cut, his gaze malevolent, idly toying with 2 daggers, a mocking smile adorning his face. Jiang Li furrowed his brows. Yet another member of the Dark Knight Guild. It seemed their influence was indeed substantial. However, compared to the bald-headed men from before, this group was evidently equipped at a lower tier. Arrogant, the buzz-cut man scoffed. In this cursed place, strength dictates the rules. If you know what's good for you, scram, or I'll make sure your belongings meet the